Hello everyone, I'm Dominic and this is Software Without Code. I'll be taking you through the process of making your own platform or video game, art included, without touching Photoshop or any other professional image editing software and without writing any code at all. This video will be slightly longer than I'd like, so if you look in the video description you'll see links to the various sections of the video. Feel free to skip ahead using those links as needed. Great, let's get started. The main software we'll be using in this video will be called GDevelop. It's open source, completely free, and is available for all major operating systems. So first thing you'll want to do is download and install it. And if you go to this download button, the link to this page will be in the description of the video. You'll see options for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So I'll be doing this video on a Windows platform, but you'll be able to easily follow along using Mac OS and Linux. I have not tried the online editor, but feel free to do so, and if it follows along with this video nicely, let me know. I'd love to hear how it is. Now that we have installed the main software GDevelop, we won't be quite using it yet. Instead, we'll be making our art first, and art in the form of pixel art. So you may be familiar with the process of making pixel art, and if you're not, don't worry, because we won't be doing any of that. We'll be using an online character generator, which will generate what's known as a sprite sheet, and we will be using that art for our game. Now, all art is licensed under like the Creative Commons and GPL3, so you'll want to do your research into those licenses to make sure that they work for your use case, but for the purpose of this video we're just going to use this website. The link will be in the description. And it's super easy. I've had a lot of fun with this. I personally don't have any Photoshop skills, or any knowledge I should say of Photoshop, so this has saved me a lot of time. So I'm just going to choose to do create my avatar. I'm going to start picking these at random. You'll see that the drop downs or the menus on the left expand when you click on them, and you can select the options, and it will customize your character on the right here. Alright, so now that we've customized your character sufficiently well with our pink mohawk, red bandana, gold plate armor, brown skirt, and we're looking pretty badass, we're ready to download all these pixel art images as what's known as a sprite sheet. Now a sprite sheet will group all these images into one big image, and then we'll use another program to cut out each individual image. Now, just so you have a high level understanding of why we're doing this to provide animations to our game. So we will need 3 animations. We'll need a jump animation, which we're going to use the spellcast animation for. So when the character jumps, they'll be doing this. We'll need a walk animation, so that when they walk, they'll look something like this. And we'll also need a idle animation, which will just be a single frame. In other words, it's what the character will look like when they're not moving, and we'll just pick one of these images, maybe at random, perhaps one of these two, but we'll see. So I actually ran into an issue using Edge trying to download this. I don't normally use Edge as my browser except when I'm making these videos. So I don't know if that is what's going on there, but I tried it in Chrome and it worked just fine. So I recommend, if you're having trouble downloading your sprite sheet, just switch to Chrome. So I'm going to drag my Chrome browser over for a second. So I got my Chrome browser open, and it's the same character sheet. I just copied and pasted this URL. And then we can save the result as a PNG, and you'll see this download. Now you have to rename the file. So I'm going to call it sprite.png, and I'm going to move it to my desktop. One second, I'll show you the file. So right here, I renamed that download. The file was just called download. I renamed it to spurt.png. I misspelled sprite. Awesome. So now let's see what we need to do to cut this. So what we ultimately need to do with these animations that I may have mentioned is cut the individual ones out. But when you look at this sprite sheet, you will see that all of them, this is one gigantic image. This is almost what we want, but not quite. So going back here, there's a sheet cutter website, easygif.com, sprite cutter. I will provide the link in the description. There's probably like 100 other sites, so if you just Google it, you'll find it easily. And then I'll navigate to where the sprite sheet file is. Let's open it. And great, so I'm gonna hit upload. And now I personally think that the easiest way is by number of columns and rows. So we just need to know how many columns and rows there are. Awesome, okay, so there's actually 13 columns and 21 rows, and the output format PNG is fine. Let's hit cut. And we scroll down and we see that the individual images are here. And these are just blank images, so it cut this in a perfect square, so these will be a bunch of images, blank images, so will these, and so will those. Just something to keep in mind, that when we're looking at this. So let's download the frames as zip. I'm gonna save. Alright, so let's cut ahead to what we have to do next. Make sure you save the file in a location you can find it. Okay, so now we're just on the desktop. We're going to do a little bit of file manipulation before we continue. So this is the zip file that was downloaded with all of our sprite images cut. I'm just going to rename this to make this obvious what it is, sprites. I'm also going to create a new folder. We're going to call it sprites. Both those folders here, the zip folder of sprites and the empty folder, let's open them up. And we're just going to drag all the images. So in other words, we're going to unzip the folder and put all the images into the empty folder. It'll just take a second. Awesome. So now that the folders, or all the files are in the new folder, we're going to close the zip folder. We don't need it anymore. Let's expand this so you can see what I'm doing. We will look at the content. I hit view at the top, content, so I could see the images. And now we're just going to create a whole bunch of folders. So we're going to call this folder player, because this will be the player's sprite and animations. And I'm just going to create a folder for walk, idle, jump, and we'll even create a folder for injure, so when they take damage. Now I'm going to just open up another window and go back to where the images are, so in the sprites folder, and now we'll drag over the images that we want. So this first animation, I don't want it because the character's back is to us. Let's look for this character side is to us. Here we go. This is the character facing us. So this is what we're going to use as our jump animation. You can kind of use any animation, it doesn't really matter. The jump one, though, there wasn't a jump one inherently that was actually made dedicated for jumps, so that's actually the spellcasting one that I mentioned earlier. Now let's take the walking animation, and this looks like the walking animation. So again, I'm just taking all the frames, they're numbered, so they'll be in order automatically. Drag it over to the walk. Cool. And now we have jump, walk, we just need injure and idle. So for idle, we'll just take a single frame, and I copied it, and we'll put it here. Idle is with characters not moving, so you know what, that's fine. And we could make it an animation. It doesn't have to be a single frame, but we're just going to keep it simple. Now for injure, let's take this one. Okay, so now we have all of our sprites saved for our player. And I'm going to do this again for an enemy. But I'll skip ahead because there's no point in redoing the whole process on camera. So see you soon.